All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos or subscribes to my channel or both. I really appreciate it. Today's video, I'm going to be doing about, I love to crack the false narratives. A lot of them, the media types, the Shannon Sharps, Colin Cowherds, Nick Wrights, even Chris Broussard to a certain degree. They're allowed to say whatever they want with little to no pushback. There used to be more checks and balances with guys like Skip Bayless. There was other people that would actually refute things, and you don't have that now. Now it's all pretty much a one-way conversation. And I made the analogy to politics a while back, and obviously touching on that was a mistake, and I won't be going any farther than that. But one of the ones I hear also in the comments, I'll hear once in a while, or just in general, I hear these stupid narratives. And one of them is, why didn't Michael Jordan have a winning record against Larry Bird? Why didn't he beat Larry Bird? You guys have heard me talk about this before, but I want to expand on it a little bit farther. Why do they never mention Magic Johnson? Why just Larry Bird? It's weird, right? Only Bird. So it seems like people are fishing to come up with something, anything to grab onto to hold against Michael Jordan. Because we all know that the messiah of the media, LeBron James, he's never going to beat Michael Jordan straight up resume. We know that time has passed. That debate is dead. They can try to resurrect it and give all these false one-sided takes all they want. But here's something I find very interesting about that exact subject. Okay, we'll stick with Larry Bird here. Okay, now Larry Bird, missed some games. He had injuries, and Michael Jordan had injury. Like 1986, he missed some games and whatnot. But the times that these two teams, two players, Bird and Jordan, actually played against each other. In 1985, Boston was a 63-win team, okay? The Bulls were a 38-win team. That's a 25-win disparity. Pretty big, I would say. Boston won 4 out of 6 that season. So in my mind, the Bulls won 2 games out of 6. Actually, not that bad for a 38-win team going up against the defending champions. The next year in 86, Jordan only had 1 crack at Boston because he was, he's hurt so much. And they lost. And then, of course, in the playoffs, they got swept. In the 87 season, Boston was 59-23. Good season. Not their best, but still a very good season. Michael Jordan's Bulls won 40 games. That's still a 19-win disparity. And even though, they got swept all 6 games, including the playoffs, no doubt about it. So in those 19 games between 85 and 87, the Bulls only won 2, and they were both in 85. No doubt about it. Boston owned the Bulls, but they were so much better than the Bulls were. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In 1988, Boston was a 57-win team. The Bulls were a 50-win team. So finally they have a pretty good team that can fight back some, right? Well, they played each other 4 times in the regular season when both Bird and Jordan were there. They split 2-2. I find that interesting. So finally, when Jordan gets a team that can fight back some, they split. Okay? In 1989, Bird only played, I think, like 8 or 9 games that year, and then he was out for the whole rest of the year. But there was 1 game in there played between Jordan and Bird. And in 89, Boston, I think they were like a 42-win team, but Bird missed the whole season. Well, the Bulls were a 47-win team. Not even that big of a difference. And the Bulls won that game in 89, okay? The one game that Bird and Jordan actually played in 89, the Bulls won. And I would say, at least with Bird in there, you have to assume he would have accounted for at least 7 wins for the whole season. So I would say they were pretty evenly matched. The one game, the Bulls won. In 1990, Boston won 52 games. The Bulls won 55 games. This is as close as they got to being comparable. The Bulls won 2 out of 3 games in 1990 season. All right. In 91, the Bulls won 61, Boston 56. Again, very close though. They split 2-2. Now, in 92, Bird played in 3 of the games. He missed 1 against the Bulls. The Bulls won 67 games. Boston won 51. So obviously the Bulls had, a pretty good sized disparity there. Well, the Bulls won all 3 games. So again, how good your team is has a lot to do with this too. Matchups, sure. The Bulls front court consisting of players like Dave Corzine and Brad Sellers and Charles Oakley, who wasn't terrible or anything like that. He was, good player. He was. He wasn't a star or nothing like that, but he was a good player. Orlando Woolridge was a good player, but they're going up against front court that had 3 and sometimes 4 top 75 players with a perennial all-defensive finals MVP, Hall of Fame Dennis Johnson. That's what they were going up against. And Jordan's going up there with career journeymen, people that never did anything. Oakley did have success on the Knicks later on, but anyway. So I just think it's ridiculous to say that a team that was clearly inferior to the other one lost more games to a team that was clearly superior. But when it got comparable, it's a different story. So, like I said, from 85 to 87, including all 6 playoff games, the Bulls only won 2 out of 19 games. Absolutely, Boston owned them. They were vastly superior team, no doubt about it. But from 88 to 92, when it was a lot closer, and maybe you could make a case, okay, 92, the Bulls were, much better. But in that time frame, when it was a lot more close, the Bulls won 10 out of 15 games. So I just think that right there, it's a little silly when, you try to bring up this Larry Bird like it's a bad thing. And again, if he would have beat Larry Bird in the 92 playoffs, if they would have somehow met, or even the 91 playoffs, and the Bulls would have beat him, how would it have enhanced his legacy? Because Bird, clearly was dealing with back problems. He had injuries. So I don't understand how that would enhance his legacy at all. This was never brought up until all this LeBron stuff. Then it's all about the Hall of Famers, the top 75, because it fits the LeBron narrative. We no longer think a great team is a great team. If you have a 65-win team that has 1 top 75 player and a bunch of good quality players that had a great season, it's not the same thing as a team that had 3 top 75 players and, peripheral players around it. That team is, in today's standard, is considered better. To me, I'm looking at it, they both won 65 games, so they were both great teams. That's not how they do it anymore. It's got to be done to fit the LeBron narrative. Okay, Magic Johnson versus Michael Jordan. From 1985 to 1985 and 87, Jordan never played them in 86 because he was hurt. The Bulls split in 85, and the Lakers won both in 87. Okay, that's fine. Again, the Lakers were world champions in 85 and world champions in 87. In 87, they won 65 games. In 85, I think they won 61 or 62. I'm not quite sure. But again, the Bulls won 38 and 40 games. So over 20-win disparity. And the Bulls did at least get 1 win out of it. Okay, whatever. 88, the Lakers were world champions. I think that year they won maybe 59 games, something like that. World champions. The Bulls won 50 games. So at least they're somewhat in the ballpark. They split, okay? In 89, the Lakers got to the finals, so the 2-time defending champion. They won 57 games. The Bulls in 89 won 47 games. Well, guess what? The Bulls won both games against the Lakers in 89. In 1990, The Lakers won 63 games. The Bulls won 55. Again, clearly the Lakers, the better team. Well, the Bulls split with them. And then in 91, the Bulls won 61 games. The Lakers 58 games. Very comparable. They split there too. So from the years of 88 to 91, Bulls won 5 out of 8. They were 5-3 against the Lakers. So I'd say that's really good considering basically every year except 91, the Lakers were clearly the better team. Now, in the playoffs, in 91 finals, we all know that the Bulls beat the Lakers 4-1. And I know there was injuries and all that, but whatever. The only other time they played was in 96 when Magic made that comeback and, the Bulls beat them by 15 points. But I won't even count that game. But if you look at it, even the years when the Bulls were clearly the inferior team, you look at it, if you look at the whole ball of wax, the Bulls were 6-6 in the regular season from 85 to 91. And then if you include the playoffs, the Bulls would have been 10-7. So Michael Jordan 10-7. And then if you include the 96 to be technical, 11-7 versus Magic. Okay? Yeah, he's got a losing record against Bird, but a winning record against Magic. And, these are years 85, 87, 88, world champion seasons. 1990, best record in the NBA. 1991, in the finals. So basically every year, 89, in the finals. So every year they played them, they either had the best record in the NBA, in the finals, if not won the championship. So clearly one of the best teams in the NBA. And they had like I said, a winning record, including the playoffs. Even without it, 6-6. Pretty good stuff. Okay, how about Shaq? There's another one that, to me, 93, the Bulls were the superior team to Orlando. They were like 500 or whatever. The Bulls won 3 out of 4. In 95, Orlando was the superior team. They won the one game where Jordan came back. And then in the playoffs, they beat them 4 out of 6. Orlando did. Okay. But then in 96, when the Bulls had the better team, even though Orlando was a 60-win team and no slouch, even though Shaq missed like almost, I think, 25 or 30 games in 96, they still won 60 games. They might have won like 67 or something, 65, had Shaq been there. Well, in the playoffs, they swept Orlando. All right? Then in 97, where the Bulls were probably the superior team, I think the Lakers won like 55 games or something, but the Bulls won 69. Clearly the superior team. They split. And then in 98, the only time they played, it was at LA, and the Lakers won that game. Okay? All told, if you add it all up, including the playoffs, Michael Jordan was 12-8 versus Shaq head-to-head. Now, yeah, granted, there was a couple years in there where Jordan had the superior team. But just for good measure, let's throw in the 02 and the 03 seasons when Jordan was on the Wizards. Well, obviously, the Wizards lost both games in 02 and 03 that Jordan and Shaq played. So all told, in his career, Jordan is 12-10 versus Shaq. He's 11-7 versus Magic, and I think he's 12-22 against Bird. But again, if you take out those first 3 seasons where Boston had a huge advantage, and even if you take out 1992 where the Bulls had a huge advantage, and you just stuck to 88 through 91 where the teams were comparable as they're going to get, the Bulls were 7-5 against Boston. Any other time, Boston had a much better team, like vastly better team, or the Bulls had a vastly better team. So you take those years out, get just to the meat of it, and like I said, the Bulls were 7-5 from 1988 through 1991. Bam, there you go. So when the teams are actually comparable, Jordan had a winning record. Same with against Magic Johnson, and same with Shaquille O'Neal. What can I tell you? So anyway, that's it for this video. I hate the narratives. I hate the same old garbage people spew all the time. But they don't want to go into detail and give you this. The facts that are omitted. Why didn't a guy on a 38-win team, why didn't he beat a team that had won 63 games? It's just ridiculous. That's never happened. In fact, the biggest disparity ever was Golden State beat Dallas, a 42 win beating a 67. One time that happened, and nothing like that ever came close again. I think Denver beat Seattle in '95, and that one was like right around 20. I think it was like 20 or 21 win differential. There's 2 exceptions to the rule out of how many years, but neither one of those teams had championship pedigree. They hadn't won anything. I think Dallas did go to the finals the year before, but they didn't have championship pedigree like the Boston Celtics did in the mid '80s. The only team that could beat them was the Lakers until Detroit came of age and Larry Bird hurt his back. But anyway, that's it. That's about it for this video. And as always, thanks for watching. Until next time.